Invisible killers, the 7 deadliest pandemics that shaped human civilization. Throughout human history, invisible adversaries have claimed more lives than all wars combined. They've toppled civilizations, rewritten economic systems, and fundamentally altered the course of human development. These are the stories of humanity's deadliest pandemics and epidemics, biological disasters that changed the world forever. The relationship between humans and infectious disease is as old as civilization itself. As we transitioned from nomadic hunter-gatherers to settled agricultural societies, we created the perfect conditions for pathogens to thrive: dense populations, proximity to livestock, and trade networks formed an ideal environment for disease transmission. What began as localized outbreaks could now spread across continents, leaving devastation in their wake. Perhaps no pandemic has captured the collective imagination quite like the Black Death. In the mid-14th century, a disease believed to be bubonic plague emerged from Central Asia along the Silk Road trading routes before sweeping through Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa. The symptoms were horrifying: painful swellings called buboes in the lymph nodes, blackened skin from internal bleeding, and an almost certain death within days. Between 1347 and 1351, the Black Death killed an estimated 75 to 200 million people, approximately 30 to 60% of Europe's population. The social and economic consequences were profound. Labor shortages led to higher wages for surviving workers and accelerated the decline of the feudal system. Some historians argue that the Black Death ultimately paved the way for the Renaissance by disrupting existing social structures and forcing innovation. In other words, one of history's greatest tragedies may have inadvertently catalyzed one of its greatest periods of cultural and scientific advancement. While the Black Death remains the deadliest pandemic in terms of percentage of population killed, the absolute death toll record belongs to smallpox. Over its thousands of years of existence, smallpox is estimated to have killed over 300 million people. Its impact on indigenous populations in the Americas was particularly devastating, with mortality rates reaching 90% in some communities following European contact. This biological catastrophe facilitated European colonization of the Americas more effectively than any military conquest could have. After centuries of devastation, smallpox became the first, and still only, human disease to be completely eradicated through vaccination, with the last natural case occurring in Somalia in 1977. This triumph represents one of humanity's greatest public health achievements and demonstrates how scientific progress can ultimately defeat even the most formidable diseases. The 1918 influenza pandemic, misleadingly known as the Spanish flu, emerged at the end of World War I. This H1N1 virus infected approximately 500 million people, about one-third of the world's population at the time, and killed an estimated 50 million worldwide. Unlike most influenza outbreaks, which typically claim the very young and old, this pandemic was particularly deadly for young adults, creating a distinctive W pattern in mortality rates rather than the usual U shape. The pandemic's timing alongside World War I created a perfect storm. Troop movements facilitated rapid disease spread, wartime censorship suppressed critical public health information, and medical resources were already stretched thin. Despite killing more people than the war itself, the pandemic received relatively little attention in historical narratives until recent decades. Cholera, while less well known to the general public than some other pandemics, has caused 7 major global outbreaks since 1817. The disease spreads through contaminated water and can kill within hours through severe dehydration. During the 19th century, cholera pandemics claimed millions of lives across Asia, Europe, Africa, and the Americas. The story of cholera is inextricably linked to the development of modern epidemiology. During London's 1854 outbreak, physician John Snow carefully mapped cases and traced the source to a contaminated water pump on Broad Street. By removing the pump handle, he helped end the local outbreak and establish the foundation for modern disease surveillance and control. This was a pivotal moment in our understanding of disease transmission and public health intervention. The HIV/AIDS pandemic represents one of the most significant ongoing public health challenges since its identification in the early 1980s. To date, approximately 40 million people have died from AIDS-related illnesses, with millions more living with HIV. Beyond its devastating death toll, the pandemic exposed societal fault lines related to sexuality, gender, race, and global inequality. The emergence of effective antiretroviral therapies transformed HIV from a near-certain death sentence to a manageable chronic condition for those with access to treatment. However, the disproportionate impact on sub-Saharan Africa, where resources and access to care remain limited, highlights the profound global health inequities that still exist today. The COVID-19 pandemic, caused by the SARS-CoV-2 virus, emerged in late 2019 and rapidly spread worldwide. While not as deadly as some historical pandemics in terms of case fatality rate, its global impact has been profound. Beyond the direct death toll, which exceeded 7 million officially reported deaths within 3 years, the pandemic triggered unprecedented economic disruption, exposed vulnerabilities in global supply chains, and accelerated social and technological changes that will reshape society for decades to come. The development of effective vaccines in record time, less than a year from viral sequencing to authorized use, demonstrated remarkable scientific achievement. However, unequal vaccine distribution globally has underscored long-standing health inequities between wealthy and developing nations. What can we learn from this historical parade of pathogens? First and foremost, infectious diseases are not merely medical events, but profoundly social phenomena. Their impacts are shaped by, and in turn shape, economic systems, social structures, and political decisions. The Black Death accelerated the end of feudalism, smallpox facilitated European colonization, and COVID-19 exposed and exacerbated existing social inequalities. Second, our interconnected world creates both vulnerabilities and strengths. The same global networks that allow diseases to spread rapidly also enable unprecedented scientific collaboration. During COVID-19, researchers shared viral sequences almost immediately, and international teams developed vaccines with remarkable speed. Third, our relationship with the natural world directly influences pandemic risk. Deforestation, climate change, and wildlife trade increase opportunities for pathogens to jump from animals to humans. As human activity continues to disrupt ecosystems, the risk of future outbreaks increases. Finally, history reveals that pandemics frequently drive innovation. The Black Death contributed to labor-saving technologies and medical advances. Cholera outbreaks led to modern sanitation systems. HIV/AIDS accelerated antiviral drug development, and COVID-19 has transformed remote work, education, and telemedicine. As we face an uncertain future, with climate change and habitat destruction increasing pandemic risks, understanding our past encounters with disease becomes increasingly important. The history of pandemics is not just a chronicle of suffering, but also a testament to human resilience, scientific ingenuity, and our capacity for collective action in the face of biological threats. These invisible killers have shaped human history in profound and lasting ways. By studying their impacts, we can better prepare for the inevitable outbreaks of the future. Because while we cannot predict exactly when or where the next pandemic will emerge, history assures us that it will come. Our challenge is to learn from these devastating chapters of our past to build more resilient and equitable systems for the future.